Hello and welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. We've got you covered and we'll be looking at some stories on the show this morning. And we'll also go straight to Europe. The biggest one happened in the UEFA Champions League last night. Yes, it is always a battle of the big boys in the UEFA Champions League. And we'll be looking at all of the games that were played last night, the story, the intrigues, and the comebacks in the UEFA Champions League and other stories on the show. And we are happy one of our Super Eagles player doing well. All right, let's begin from a different sport this morning. We are not starting with football. It's a good one. Yes, Nigeria is also holding her own when it comes to this sport. We're talking about arm wrestling, the 14th edition for arm wrestling 2025. It will be going down in Abuja, and accolade support has come in for the federation, that is Nigerian Arm Wrestling Federation, from the Senate House Committee on Sports. They've given their full backing, and also the Nigerian Sports Commission also giving its full backing, and other sports stakeholders who want to see to the betterment and to what we can do when we host this particular competition. So if definitely everything goes by, the 14th edition, the event will be coming up in July. That is when we get to the second quarter of the year. So we are looking forward to Nigeria hosting about 22 countries and 300 athletes would be here in Nigeria, Abuja, precisely for the particular event. It is the 2025 African Arm Wrestling Championship, the biggest arm wrestling you have on the continent. Like I said, 22 countries will be participating with 300 athletes touching down in Nigeria. So we are looking forward to see that athletes do so well in this particular competition. I don't know if Abba Michael is ready. Okay, when they are ready, definitely they will be joining us on the show. For the arm wrestling, we'll have arm wrestling debuted at the last African Games, and Nigeria won all medals available. The arm wrestling, it's when we say arm wrestling, it's something like this. You put your arm on a hard surface, and you've seen arm wrestling before. So for Nigeria, we are number one country in this particular sport. It has its own rules, it has its own techniques for participating in the sport. Now let's leave the arm wrestling quickly and go straight to that is football now, where Nigeria and Hungary collaborate on football development. Yes, Nigeria and Hungary will collaborate on how to develop football in this part of the continent, Nigeria, and that is from the grassroots. The program will be taken to schools, primary school, secondary school, and then we'll have for the university, we'll have a couple of grassroots competitions in Nigeria, and we are looking forward to getting a better football development in the country. If definitely everything goes by, we will be happy to see that Nigerian football gets to the next level. When it comes to the Under-17 World Cup, we've won the competition more than any other team. As in Nigeria and Brazil, Nigeria has won the Under-17 5 times. So if we actually want to get it right, we have to go back to the grassroots and do the needful. Definitely, we will be looking at seeing Nigeria getting it right, going back to the grassroots level. And Hungary is one country, a top country when it comes to football. Hungary is another European country, though. When you talk about football development in that part of the European side, it's also a top country in football. So we are looking forward to seeing Nigeria and Hungary get it right, do the needful in this particular aspect. And what is in for the Nigerian Football Federation, it will go down to the grassroots. We get it right. Like I said, from the classroom, primary school, secondary school, a lot of competitions would be organized, and also players will be scouted, and then these players will be exposed to the best of facility, and then also be given the best of trainings that they can have. That is for this particular collaboration with that is with Hungary in this aspect. And also we'll be having some technical training, some drills. So I think it's a good one. It's a welcome development, and we're looking forward to see that this particular collaboration between Hungary and Nigeria yield results, and we will be glad indeed that if this particular collaboration yield result, we'll be getting it right. Like I said, technical area, skills, and what have you. These guys will be trained, and definitely they will be given the best of exposure. They will be exposed to better facilities, and then giving that training, giving them a first-hand training, and showing them, showcasing them to the world. So one day, we believe one day, an African country will win the World Cup, and probably it might just be Nigeria. Morocco did the unthinkable in the last World Cup, where they became the first African country to get to the semi-final of this FIFA Senior Men World Cup. So if Morocco can get to the semi-final, definitely, yes, one day, just one day, as a patriotic Nigerian, I'm rooting for Nigeria to become the first country to win the FIFA Senior Men's World Cup. It will happen soon, very soon. It will definitely happen, if only just all hands will be on deck and get it right. Do the needful, do the right thing, put the right people in right places, and who say we cannot achieve that dream. All right, we will leave the Nigerian-Hungarian collaboration on football development, and quickly look at the 2025 AFCON under 20. Yes, the under 20 AFCON draws is coming up. The competition is bid for Cote d'Ivoire from the April this year, and Nigeria is in pot 1 of that draw. Nigeria is in pot 1 of the 2025 AFCON under 20 draw. So we have about 3 pots. Like I said, Nigeria is in pot 1. We have pot 1, pot 2, and then pot 3. We'll quickly look at the pots as we see it on the screen. We have in pot 1 Ivory Coast. We have Senegal. We have Nigeria in pot 1. Senegal are the defending champion. Ivory Coast are the host. And Nigeria, who won the Wafubi tournament, who is in there. They came second in the last edition. And then in pot 2, we have Congo, we have Egypt, and we have Zambia. And then a lot of teams are in pot 3, where we have Ghana, DR Congo, Morocco, Sierra Leone, Kenya, South Africa, and Tanzania. So we have in pot 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 teams in pot 3. We have 3 teams in pot 1 and 3 teams in pot 2. All right, I have Canis joining up on the show this morning. Canis, welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV.
Good morning, Fash. Happy to be here this morning.
Quickly, we look at the arm wrestling, where Nigeria, yes, will be hosting the 14th edition of African arm wrestling. You know, some of these sports are not that popular, but Nigeria is number 1 in the continent when it comes to the arm wrestling. Canis, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Nigeria hosting the arm wrestling in the 14th edition, just by the second quarter of the year. That will be coming up in July.
Okay, yeah, we always say that we want to see us striving in other sports. We understand that football is the heartbeat of sports when we are talking about Nigeria, but we want to see all those talents and displaying their raw powers in other sports. And this is an opportunity, as far as I'm concerned, to showcase once again, because it's an international competition. So it's an opportunity to showcase once again our hospitality, our infrastructure, the kind of influence we have, how we can welcome people, what our culture stands for. And I'm looking forward to an exciting competition.
Some of these sports, sometimes ago you made mention of things like these are kind of sports that can give us medals in Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and other international championship. Arm wrestling, it looks easy, but at the same time, it's not easy. What can we do in this regards to get it at least? Because it's not just, we shouldn't just look at football, football, football. These are some of the sports that can give us 1, 2, 3 gold medals. And when you get to the Olympics, these are things other African countries, US, Japan, China, they use in getting medals. Those individual sports.
Yes, so if we want to thrive in sports like this, a lot of them, this one, cricket, a whole lot of them, we should start looking forward to grants from government to go into research. We need to also improve coaching standards. So there should be workshop or training, whatever it is, to sensitize coaches and also increase their knowledge of the game. Then we have to start putting out those catch them young initiatives in primary, secondary schools because we have to start from the grassroots. We actually have to start from the scratch to catch them young, to expose them to these games as well. But when we are exposing them to games, we have to improve the coaching standards and also the facilities for them to, go out there and practice and get their hands on the different tools that they need. So when you are investing in research, when we get grants from governments to go into research, what we are doing is to unravel the mysteries behind that particular sport to see the technicalities and to gain competitive advantage so that when we clash or contest with other countries like this international competition that is coming up, we would be successful. It will be ending that out in the medal zone, say gold, silver, or bronze.
Okay, gold, silver, or bronze. All right. We'll also look at still looking at some stories, the developmental story. Though that one is hosting. Now, Hungary collaborates on football development. When it comes to football, this is another country, a top European country when it comes to football.
Yeah, that's for me. Yeah, I Fash, are you asking me?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. So, still the same thing. This for me is commercial partnership. We spoke about commercial partnerships the other day. We spoke about doing something with people that share the same interests. So we learn from them, they learn from us. We saw what Rangers was doing with a team from Switzerland, and that like is they called it a strategic cooperation, where there would be exchange of tactical advantage and as well as talent exchange and talent development. So we want to see these things. We want to see what we can get from Hungary if they are very invested in football as well. And at that level, we can start gaining international exposure much more and how things are done in Europe. We understand it better and try to imbibe those technicalities and those advantages and bring it back home and start putting those into practice as well.
Okay, start putting it into practice as well. A good collaboration, we'll call it, and these are part of what the Nigerian Football Federation, the present board members, really want to achieve. Along who's that federation is being led by Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Gusau. All right, we'll leave that and we'll look at the AFCON under 20. That is for the junior Super Eagles now, Flying Eagles as they are called. Nigeria is in Port 1 ahead of the draw where we have Nigeria, Senegal, and the host Ivory Coast in Port 1. We looked at the port. And for Nigeria, we have to get it this if we want to also go as in represent the continent at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup coming up later on this year in Chile. We just need to first get out of the group, whichever group we'll find ourselves in when the draws will be conducted, Canis.
Is it not interesting that we are in Port 1, and I think we've earned being in that Port 1, so we would avoid teams that would worry us early on. So it's going to set a smoother pathway for us to in that competition and help us to go very far. I'm hoping that we are going to take advantage of Port 1 with all due respect to every other team that is out of Port 1. But when we are in Port 1, it tells the level we are when it comes to under-20 and other younger categories. So I'm expecting that it is going to count for something for being in Port 1.
Okay, it's going to come to something for being in Port 1. Let's quickly bring on Michael. Michael, welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV. We are looking at the Under-20 AFCON. We've also talked about how Nigeria and Hungary will collaborate. But for the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, which is also coming up this year, and also we have the Senior Men's Nations Cup. Nigeria in Port 1. Michael, what do you make of the boys being coached by Coach Aliu Zubairu?
Yeah, definitely very promising. A very promising team, a very promising guy. And I believe that when you look at Port 1, you'll see Ivory Coast, you'll see Senegal, you'll see Nigeria. I didn't see Morocco. I didn't see some of the usual suspects, perhaps Ghana, and maybe Tunisia, Egypt. These are the teams that dominate the top flight. And coincidentally, they are not in Port 1. And it shows that it's not as if they are doing badly at the cadet level. It's just that when it comes to the under-20, we are always outstanding. But our poor follow-up is what doesn't transmit to the Super Eagles eventually. So they have a good cadet formative development. But we, the moment after this under-20, the player is on his own. But for these other countries in Port 1 that I mentioned, apart from there's Egypt, Morocco that is not in this Port 1, they follow up on their players, ensure that the players develop. Even the ones with weaknesses, attention are being given to them. But in our own case, after under-20, you are now a professional, you are on your own, sort your life. If you can't get to the MPFL, go abroad. If you don't have an agent, you are on your own. So I'm even happy with the issue of Hungary's partnering V-Sports, partnering with Nigeria, at least to help so many players that we have great talents that never materialize because no connections. Even where I am in MVRI, we have so many good talents, but no visibility to give them the opportunity. So even the the Hungarian idea, I think will do a whole lot. But for the under-20 draws, I think it's going to be a smooth ride for Team Nigeria. And I believe that our team will go far as usual. We do very well at this cadet level, but we need to pay attention to what happens in the aftermath.
Okay, we need to pay attention to what happens in the aftermath. Nigeria, Senegal, and Ivory Coast, host country, all in Port 1. It's going to be an exciting tournament. The top 4 teams qualify for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. All right, let's leave the AFCON draws and let's look at the women's football now. It is match the 5 in the Nigerian Women's Premier Football League. That is for the women now. Nigerian Women's Football League, match the 5. We've had match the 1, 2, 3, 4. And today, actions in the 2 groups, Group A and B. Yes, it's going to be, we have some interesting games, especially in Group B. But let's look at the fixtures in Group A. We have Edo Queens that will be at the Samuel Ogumildia Stadium to welcome Nasarawa Amazons. And then it's going to be the Battle of the Queens, where Confluence Queens visit Ekiti Queens. And then Danas Ladies of Lagos would trade tackles with Heartland Queens of Owerri, that is at the Dan Ayam Stadium in Owerri. And then Remo starts ladies against Abia Angels, Angels versus the ladies. Who wins this game? Michael, I will just look at that is Group A with you quickly. Which fixture are you looking forward to in Group A for the Women's League?
Yeah, I think Edo Queens, they look like they are quite formidable. And if you look at the previous seasons, you will know that Rivers Angels were able to, get a victory, and then even I think Bayelsa Queens as well. But Edo Queens is among the top teams. Nasarawa has not had a bad season after all. I think they've just had one loss so far, and they've had 3 convincing wins, if I got my statistics right. But then Edo Queens, to me, will always be the favorites. In the last 3 to 4 seasons, they've shown consistency, and so it's expected that hosting this match will give them the upper advantage or the upper edge, being at home, being at the, I think, Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium. It's going to be, the fans are going to be solidly behind them. I see that as an advantage. But they should be wary of Nasarawa Amazons that have had some convincing victories so far, perhaps a single loss. So that to me is the fixture that will be taking my attention as the match day 5 fixtures are unveiled.
Okay, let's go straight to Group B. Canis, I'll come to you on Group B. Yes, that is where we have the tick of the action. Let's have the Group B fixtures for the match day 5 in the Women's League. Edo Queens, Nasarawa Amazons, Ekiti Queens, Confluence Queens, Heartland Queens of Owerri against Danas Ladies and Remo Stars Ladies battles Abia Angels. All of this fixture in Group A. And then in Group B, yes, Canis, the big one is the Niger Delta Derby, South-South battle. Rivers Angels against Bayelsa Queens, and then we have Adamawa Queens playing another Queens, Benue Queens, and then Niger Ratters of Abuja, they will be playing at home here in the city against Delta Queens, and FC Robo Queens of Lagos will also be at home. They will be at the Nicon Stadium in Lagos to welcome Ibom Angels. Now, Canis, in Group B, like I said, it is where we have the tick of the action. Rivers Angels, Bayelsa Queens, big battle. Niger Ratters, Delta Queens, and then FC Robo Queens against Ibom Angels.
Yeah, Rivers Angels and Bayelsa Queens is expected to be a roller coaster. It's supposed to be a big game full of drama, and we're looking forward to that. But I'm particularly happy about the NWFL, how far we've grown, how we are rising, how people want to be in the league, how the ladies are showing professionalism, how much they want to grow, how even the younger ones want to play in this competition. And it's big, big, big positive energy for Nigeria when it comes to female competitions, because in Africa we've made our mark over the years, and we're trying to replicate those marks that we've made in Africa across the world. We want to show ourselves and show what we can do to the world when it comes to female competition. So, and there's no other way we would get there apart from these competitions. But speaking about the clash, I'm particularly interested in Rivers Angels and Bayelsa Queens. I would love to see what that would be. It's going to be a big clash for me.
Okay, it's going to be a big clash for you. Adamawa Queens, Benue Queens. It is the battle of the northern states in the central, and then we have from the eastern part of the north, Adamawa Queens, and the Niger Ratters, Delta Queens, FC Robo Queens, Ibom Angels. We'll be bringing you all of these results on our sports show when these games comes up today, later on today, across all venues in the country. So in the Nigerian Women's Football League, you can also streamline all of these games live. You get follow them live action, and you get some highlights also of these games. All right, now let's leave the Women's League and now quickly go straight to the Nigerian Premier Football League. Yes, there are some games, scheduled games though, in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Yes, one team, yes, they will be busy. They will be busy. That stadium will be busy today. Yes, also Bendel Insurance immediately after that game between Edo Queens and Nasarawa Amazons will be having this game coming up. Bendel Insurance opens gate for Enyimba Class. Yes, it is one of their standard fixture in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Canis, for Bendel Insurance, this was two team that came up. They got promoted back to the Nigerian Premier Football League 3 seasons ago, but this season has not really been rosy for the team. We know some of the political incidents that happened in that state, and we know the support this team was getting from the state government. But right now, the team is not really what it was when it got promoted back to the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Yeah, so if we go back in time, we would see that Bender Insurance actually has a rich history in the Nigerian Professional Football League. With what they've done now, opening the stadium, we're expecting an electric atmosphere. We're expecting packed stands. We want to see, I mean, we should brace ourselves for an NPFL showdown. A mouth-watering clash is going to be, and the expectation is that the stands are going to be packed and the crowd will get behind their players and push them to put on a spectacle and see how much they can upset Enyimba. They are struggling this season, and even Enyimba themselves, they are not that prolific thus far. So they can get something out of that game. We would see if they are going to take the entire 3 points or they will just pick 1 point.
Okay, we'll see if Bendel Insurance. Now let's have the fixture where we'll go to Michael. Let's have the fixtures for today. Like you heard, the Bendel Insurance against Enyimba Faba. Then we have Kano Pillars battling Academy Warriors. That is another battle of the northern states. And then Kwara United, a Southwest Derby also against Shooting Stars of Ibadan. Michael, for the Nigerian Premier Football League, these rescheduled fixtures, to me, I think these are very tough games that will be coming up later on today in Kano, in Edo State, in Benin, and then one at Ilorin.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, for the Bendel Insurance, they've had 7 victories, 7 losses, 7 draws, and I think 8 losses, 25 points, languishing at 16th. Very similar to my Plateau United. It has not been rosy as it was this a season ago or two, and it's definitely going to be an uphill task. They have to find a way to claw themselves back to the top half of the table, and it's just definitely going to be a daunting task, knowing fully well that Enyimba, they are not perennial winners for nothing. We know Enyimba very well as the most feared team in the FPFL. So playing them, hosting them, sometimes may be the most difficult task for any team. And then for Kano Pillars, they are hosting El Kanemi Warriors, who are in 5th place. These El Kanemi Warriors have turned the tide since they came back to the league. And when they came back to the league, they have not looked back. They have been firing on all cylinders. And so Kano Pillars at the Sani Abacha Stadium should be wary of these guys. And finally, for 3SC, I think they are second on the table, just 8 points behind Remo Stars or so. And Kwara United, we know that they have a fortress, but 3SC has been in fine form, and they have what it takes to even close the table, because I think they have a game in hand, if I'm not mistaken, and 8 points behind Remo Stars. So if they get those 3 points, it will just be 5 points. And they have what it takes to grind out victories away. That's the reason why they are there with Remo and Rivers United at the top of the league table.
Yes, at the top of the league table. If we look at it for Remo Stars, after 23 games, they've won 15 out of 23. They've drawn 3, lost 5, and then they have 48 points with 15 goal difference for Remo Stars. And then Shooting Stars of Ibadan, who will be playing Kwara United today also. They have played 22 games. This is a rescheduled game. And when they play, it's going to be 23 for them. They have 40 points, like Michael said. If they win, definitely it's going to be reduced to 5 points. Remo Stars are on 48 points. For Shooting Stars, out of 22 games, they won 12, they've drawn 4, and they've lost 6. And they've scored 22 goals, and they've conceded 14 goals, and just 8 goal difference for them. For Enyimba also, they've won only 7. They are on the 8th position with 10 draws, and they've lost 5 games. For Enyimba, wow. They've lost 5 games. They've scored 19 goals, and they've conceded 17. They just have 2 goal difference. And Bendel Insurance is at number 16 on the Nigerian Premier Football League table, where they've played 22 games also. They've won 7, they've drawn 3, and they've lost 13. And then they've conceded 34 goals against them, and then they've scored 19 goals out of 34. So for the Nigerian Premier Football League this season, Michael, I will stay with you. If we look at the way the season is going, we've scored more goals than the last 2 seasons of the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Not just that we've scored more goals, but when you look at the table, we are beginning to see some form of separation. I mean, in the recent distant past, if a team is leading, you will see the next 4 teams just trailing by 1 points apiece. You see very tight. One victory can shoot you from 10th to 2nd. You know, that used to be the case. But some teams have been able to stand out so much such that we're seeing some form of distance and some gaps. I mean, 48, 40, and then the next one, 38, that's Rivers. And then the next one, 36, that's Abia Warriors. And then I think the next one is it Kano Pillars or El Kanemi? I think they are 5th, then Kano Pillars 6th. So I think those ones have 35 and 35 points. So you are beginning to see that even when you have 2 consecutive victories, when you are at the middle of the table, it may not be enough to shoot you right to the top as it used to be in the past. It shows that some teams have done a lot of homework to be able to grind out get points, consecutive matches away from home. That's a standout for me this season, especially Remo Stars, 3SC, that Shooting Stars, and Rivers Angels. They've been able to separate themselves from the pack, which is something unusual because in previous seasons, up to the very last day, we are still waiting to find a winner. But the way the team is going, 2 or 3 matches before the end of the season, we may just have our CAF team or Confederations Cup team.
Okay. From the Abia Warriors are 4th, Enugu Rangers are 5th, Ekanemi Warriors are 6th. We have Ikorodu City on the 7th, Enyimba occupies 8th position, and Niger Tornadoes are 9th. With Lobby Stars, that is your state team. Lobby Stars languishing at the bottom of the Nigerian Premier Football League table with 21 points. Canis, before we switch over to the next story, let me take you on this. For the Nigerian Premier Football League, how do you rate our technicality now, Canis? The technicality, the competitiveness of the team, and the prolific scoring of goals from the NPFL striker. I think our strikers has been good in front of goals. If you look at this, like I said, we've had more goals than the previous 2 seasons in the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Looking at that table, we've grown over the years. I think the technicalities has improved a great deal. I think the stakeholders in the NPFL understands now that it is a professional football league that, like we have in other national leagues in Europe, we will see even down to how the managers dress is entirely different now. Before, you could see a manager putting on an international club's jersey and standing on the lines, which was an eyesore for me. And a whole lot of things has changed, more interest. They've gathered more national audience. And I think it's down to media speaking about it, just like we are here, talking about it and trying to reach out to the crowd, put those information on social media. You want your fans or people that are within the city to support you and come out to watch the games, but they can't come and watch the games if we don't talk about them. And coaches are getting more training, and we see how we we had two of the coaches coming to assist Iguavon, which is also big for the NPFL. They understand that now there could be rewards for you if you're doing just well with your team. So I think it's down to the coaching initiatives that has grown over time and mandating them to acquire their coaching badges up to a level before you can now have a team. Before you could just have you just start managing a team as a coach with some level of qualification. But now it has to be the stipulated one by CAF and the NFF or the league management for NPFL is ensuring that that's in place, because it's only when you are exposed as a coach and have those technicalities at your fingertips, at that point you can start passing it down to your players and trying to improve them, improve the play, the style of play, set them up in such a way that they will get into strategic positions to score goals. So it's huge improvements thus far, and we are hoping that we could keep growing.
Okay, we're happy that we can keep growing. Michael, I will take the two of you on this, but let me start with you, Canis, before I go to Michael. Let's have the fixtures back on the screen. I want you to make your prediction. The fixtures are on the screen. I want you to make your prediction for the three games that will be coming up. Kano Pillars, Academy Warriors, Bendel Insurance, Enyiba, Kwara United, Shooting Stars of Ibadan. So let's start with Kano Pillars. Your prediction for that game.
Well, I wouldn't, I don't know the scoreline, but I don't see Canopila losing that game to Academy Morals, since they are literally struggling for their lives and they would want to prove something at the Sani Abacha Stadium.
What of Bendel Insurance, Enyiba?
That one where Bendel Insurance is asking all their fans to come out and support them. So Enyiba would be masked within the insurance fans, but I still think Enyimba would have the day. I see Enyimba winning that
Scoreline.
away
Give your
game.
scoreline.
Then Kwara United, being uh well, Kwara United should have a draw with Shooting Stars.
Okay. Michael, over to you. Your turn.
Yes, I see El Kanemi Warriors pulling up a draw against Kano Pillars. And then I know that Bendel Insurance are very hungry and they wouldn't want Enyimba come to embarrass them. They say they are opening the gates, but definitely not the floodgates of their goalposts. And so I see Bendel Insurance finding out a way to at least grind out a victory, because Enyimba have not been as formidable this season. And Kwara United are a thorn in the flesh, but I see 3SC picking up a draw against Kwara United because they've been very consistent, getting points away. So I believe 3SC should be able to get a draw.
Okay, 3SD should be able to get a draw. We'll be bringing you updates from all of the three centers when those matches will be going on our evening sports show. Now, let's leave MPFL and go straight to Europe. It is the UEFA Champions League knockout playoff. Yes, the big one, the big boys in European football came out smoking. Yes, they came from behind and they got that win. Where Real Madrid beat Man City at Etihad Stadium. You can see the scoreline on the screen. Mbappe, Bellingham, and the one that Ibrahim Diaz that came on in that particular game. Michael, I know you are happy because Real Madrid is your team. Before I go to Canis, but for Real Madrid, a lot of persons over the years, this team, as when they play the Champions League, they look different. As in, they are the comeback kings. Over and over again, we've seen this team doing the comeback in UEFA Champions League. And last night was another comeback for them, beating Manchester City at Etihad.
Yeah, I mean, since the days of Alfredo Di Stefano, I mean, it has been like that in the 50s. I mean, even up to the 90s, the 2000s, when Zidane had that fine finish in a goal of the century against Bayer Leverkusen. Cristiano Ronaldo got the La Decima on, and then you could go on and on with Sergio Ramos. That generation came, had three straight victories, and then it looks like Ronaldo has left. The team will be in shambles. Then came Benzema, Vinicius, they won. And then in the last 4 seasons, Man City and Real Madrid have met every time. And the winner has always, between these two, has always gone on to win the Champions League. Champions League is like Real Madrid's birthright. I was telling my wife yesterday night. I said Real Madrid will win this match. She laughed. She said, look at you are losing the game already." And then Diaz came up with a goal, and then the 92nd minute, here was Jude Bellingham. Real Madrid have a kind of culture. You'd never underrate. You can underrate anything, but not Real Madrid. When it comes to the Champions League, as long as you've not had that final whistle, you are in trouble. I mean, it's almost inevitable that they will get on the score sheet when it comes to Real Madrid. Even if it takes to the last minute, when it comes to the Champions League, they have a culture. They don't see anything other than winning. And it was that winning mentality that saw them get that victory at the death. And so kudos to Jude Bellingham. I mean, he's truly the best midfielder in the world. And I think Mbappe is making a case for Ballon d'Or this year. Vinicius has been ups and downs. And they've had a poor Champions League run so far. But somehow, when it matters most, they are always there. I was telling somebody before the match yesterday, I said that it looks as if Real Madrid don't know what they are doing. All the other teams are top. But should Real Madrid manage to qualify, the other teams are in trouble. When it comes to the Champions League, 15 or 16 titles is not a joke. Real Madrid are the most feared team. And I say it for the opting time, they are the greatest football team God ever created.
Okay. Canis, if we look at that game for Pep Guardiola, Canis, somebody said he got his substitution wrong. I don't know. I'm not a coach, but sometimes we understand this football science. But do you think Pep Guardiola was wrong with his substitution at that time, and
Well,
not just the time with the players he introduced into that game?
Well, Pep Guardiola is in masterclass when it comes to these games, but they are human beings and they could get it wrong. He could be smoking in the petrol station, which is very bad for Manchester City. I feel like he started the game not so well, but he had Grealish. He lost Grealish and Akanji. Grealish being a retainer in the last phase, who knows how to keep the ball so that they can starve Madrid of the possession. And Akanji, who would also be a proper duelist that could contest with the likes of Vinicius and Mbappe. He lost those two. And introducing Rico Lewis, they kind of struggled a bit with that. So probably he got that wrong. But I mean, name a better love story. Real Madrid and UEFA Champions League. It's just like Michael has said. It's always their game. They've always been like this. But being someone that supports Barcelona, I always feel like every team is scared of Real Madrid except Barcelona for some reasons. But we've not really been having meetings in the UEFA Champions League, and you could see how they struggle to be in this phase of the UEFA Champions League, and you can't write them off. You can't say Real Madrid cannot just go and win this competition unless probably they meet Barcelona on their way. So
Okay, let's see how it goes. Let's have a
we
good
we
result.
we
Let's
we
see.
expecting to see what was going to happen in Santiago Bernabeu. It's not over as far as I'm concerned, but I know that it's going to be a packed stadium and an electric atmosphere for Real Madrid, and the crowd is going to get behind them and push them as much as they can. But I expect City to at least compete and try to come back better. They have a Nico Gonzalez who was on the bench, and I was thinking he would play that game, but maybe Pep was thinking it's too early or too sudden to throw him into a big clash because they needed physicality in the midfield, and that was the first reason why they played John Stones in that midfield. So if he can get on Nico, who has legs, KDB has been injured for a very long time this season, and Bernard Silva, there is only a little he can do, and that is because he's press resistant. So when you put him in that midfield and people are trying to get the ball off him, he can hold it for a very long time. But he can't do that all game. So you still need a physical presence like Nico, since they don't have Rodri anymore. So let's see what happens in Bernabeu.
Okay, let's see what happens next week in Santiago Bernabeu. The White Angels will be welcoming the Blue Boys, the Sky Blue Boys from the city of Manchester. Brest, the loss to PSG in the first, these two teams have scores to settle. They finished in the league and they came back to meet again in the Champions League. 3-0 against Brest, and the Juventus, they defeated PSV at Juven 2-1 for Manchester City, which we actually looked at 3-2 against the loss to Real Madrid, 3-2 in that game at Etihad. And Sporting CP, wow, what this team is really suffering since Ruben Amorim left them. They lost at home to Borussia Dortmund 3-0. So other games will be coming up tonight. We will be bringing up in our evening sports show. All right, let's take the last story on the show before we go quickly, where our own Taiwo Awoniyi was on the score sheet, but after getting a goal, he was taken off in that game by stretcher through injured. He has injured a broken nose in that game. Until we don't know when he will be coming back. Until we are expecting a statement from the club, and we wish him quick recovery. But despite that, Nottingham Forest, they qualify into the next round of the English FA Cup. From the fourth round, they are in the fifth round now, after a 2-2 draw with Exeter City, and went straight on to penalties, and that was where Forest actually did their best, and they are through. But for Taiwo Awoniyi, we wish him quick recovery. It's going to be a big miss for the Super Eagles, for Nottingham Forest, and also for his family, because he will be going through a recovery period. But we wish him well quickly. And that is where we'll be leaving it on the show, 360 Sports, this morning. Kenneth, thanks to you for coming on the show. And to you, Michael, also. It was good one having you guys on 360 Sports, of coming to your screen from Trust TV. Okay, that is it on the program, 360 Sports. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. Say thanks for watching.